My daughter's boyfriend claimed to be a man of God, so I helped him meet his hero. My daughter's boyfriend, Zenny, was a Christian zealot who had somehow manipulated her into accepting his oppression as a relationship. He thought being one with the church meant he could control everything. He had all her passwords, double-checked every text she sent, and would make her apologize profusely if she so much as dropped a spoon during dinner. One night at 2 a.m., I found her on my doorstep, barefoot in January, and her church dress torn at the shoulder. "Dad, please help me," she whispered, and that's when I saw the perfect fingerprint bruises imprinted around her throat like a necklace. I got her inside and wrapped her in blankets while she told me everything. She showed me the burns on her palms. He said God had told him I was impure. Then he made me hold hot coins while confessing my sins. Said Jesus suffered more for less. But that wasn't even the worst part. Through tears, she told me about the cleansing ceremonies in his basement, how he'd make her strip and stand in ice water while he and his prayer group circled her, shouting about casting out demons. And then she told me how last night was different. Zenny had found a text from her male coworker about switching shifts and lost it. Made her kneel on rice for 3 hours while he read Bible verses about adultery. When she tried to stand, he grabbed her throat, said the devil was in her, and that he needed to purify her. He was about to light me on fire, but when he went to get some lighter fluid, I ran. She pulled out her phone and showed me dozens of texts from him, all quoting scriptures about submission, obedience, punishment for wayward women. The last one said, "Come back before sunrise or I'll know Satan has won." My hands were shaking so hard with rage that I barely held myself from crashing the car as I drove to the sheriff's place. I showed him her bruises, the texts, everything. He barely glanced at the evidence and said, "Zenny? Zenny from the church? He runs our youth ministry and helped my own son find Christ. These look like domestic disagreements, not crimes. Maybe your daughter should try being a better girlfriend." 2 other officers nodded along and told me to leave. I sat in my truck outside the station, knuckles white on the steering wheel. That's when I made my decision. If they wouldn't strike down false prophets anymore, I'd have to get creative. Zenny wanted to play deity? Fine. Time to show him what real judgment looked like. I drove home and kissed my daughter's forehead while she slept. "Don't worry, baby girl," I whispered. "Daddy's going to fix this." I had a buddy from my construction days who'd moved into private investigation and owed me a favor from when I covered his child support. "I need you to follow this guy," I told him, sliding Zenny's photo across the table. "Document everything. Where he goes, who he meets, and what he does at night." I got some pictures, but the real gift came from Zenny himself. He'd installed security cameras in that ceremonial basement to document the devil leaving their bodies. Pride goeth before the fall, and Zenny's pride had created a digital library of his own crimes. All I needed was access, and I knew exactly how to get it. The next day, I knocked on his door and greeted him with a smile. "Zenny, right? I'm a really big fan of how you kept my daughter in line, and I'd like to learn a thing or two." His eyes lit up like Christmas lights, and he invited me in with eagerness. As soon as the door closed behind me, I pulled out a rope and hooked it around his mouth before taking him down. I dragged him to the basement as he kept kicking and trying to scream. I found a chair that I could tie him to, and then got to work. I pulled down every security camera and pointed them right at him. Then I went to the fireplace, picked up some hot coal, and dropped it on top of his head. "Start confessing, or I'll drop it in your mouth." His face darkened from fear, and he nodded, so I removed the rope muffler. All right, I did it. Just keep them away." He listed everything, including all the ceremonies he made my daughter go through, and the fact that he was planning on burning her alive. Once he was done, he smiled and asked, "You'll untie me now, right?" I smiled back, and then dropped all the coal right on his tongue. He started screaming in pain immediately, so I had to put the rope muffler back. I made a copy of all the footage from the security cameras while he was still swallowing the hot coal. Then I dropped all the cameras in his lap, called both the police and reporters, and then left. The 2 parties arrived at the same time, so there was no hiding the truth. Zenny was completely hysterical and kept yelling, "I did it! I made her suffer! Just keep the coal away!" Zenny went to prison for life, and every church member who participated in his ceremonies was investigated. In return, the camera footage was never released to the public. My daughter has started smiling again, and all her bruises are now gone, just like the abuser.